little girl did not deserve that, runaway or not, whether she was with this, adult man or not.
She dismissed the wig chatter as paranoia. Then the video leaked. Her reaction told the whole story. Rumors turned into a real plan. And if fans already saw this much, what else is being hidden about Celeste's death? Fresh footage uncovers David's darkest truth. Yo, pay attention. We've got breaking video that rewrites the narrative. Forget everything you thought you knew about the David case, because brand new clips just surfaced. Footage showing him not just near the scene, not just tied to a car, but allegedly stealing his dead girlfriend Celeste's wig during what authorities are calling one of the decade's darkest celebrity scandals. Yeah, you heard right. This isn't gossip. This isn't made up. This is raw, unsettling, and it changes everything. And here's the kicker. The most shocking part of the video, the part you'll see later in this story, isn't even the act itself. It's what it exposes about the mindset of a rising star who once had the world in his grip and now may be watching it slip away. This isn't just about a wig. This is about power, fixation, betrayal, and maybe even something darker. Stay tuned, because the bombshells don't quit. But first, rewind the tape. In September 2025, employees at a Hollywood impound lot stumbled on a discovery that would alter David's career forever. A Tesla left abandoned for 5 days, hauled in on routine tow. A stench so strong it shut down the whole yard. Inside, a body wrapped in plastic, decomposing. Later confirmed as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, a teen missing since April 2024. Let that sink in. Celeste was only 13 when she went missing. By the time her remains were recovered, she was 15. Her body found inside the very car registered to rising R&B star David Anthony Burke, known publicly as David. That one link, the car, was enough to ignite a wildfire. Then came the matching tattoos, same design on the same finger, confirmed in forensic reports and shouted across social media. Fans started connecting dots, pointing back to his song Romantic Homicide, uploaded September 7, 2022, the exact day Celeste turned 12. Too many coincidences, people argued. Too many chilling overlaps between his art and her life. And now, with this new clip, coincidences start to look like a pattern. Let me break it down. First, this isn't a random rumor. We've got video, actual live streams and concert footage where Celeste herself, or a girl strikingly similar, appears right next to David just weeks before her body was discovered. One viral video from his Maryland show in August 2025 shows a girl up in the balcony, black tube top, long dark hair. And here's the kicker. She's standing next to David's own brother while David points in her direction, flashing a half heart.
New video footage of a girl believed to be Celeste at David's concert in late August has surfaced, and she was also wearing a black tube top at this concert, which is what we know she was wearing when she was found dead in David's trunk, based on police report.
Now think about that. If that really was Celeste alive in late August, it wrecks the whole timeline, because her remains, badly decomposed, were found on September 8th. That would mean either decomposition raced unnaturally under brutal California heat, or something even darker happened behind the scenes. And if it wasn't Celeste, then another disturbing possibility opens. David surrounding himself with her lookalikes, replicating the image of a girl who may have already been dead. Either way, it's haunting. But it doesn't end there. Remember that wig? In this new angle, released by online sleuths and dissected frame by frame, David is caught clutching something while slipping backstage. Freeze it, zoom it, and you see what appears to be a wig, long, black, eerily close to the hair Celeste was described as having when she vanished. Why would he hold that? Why would he need it? Fans and investigators are calling it the smoking gun. Proof of either ritualistic obsession or a desperate cover-up. Some call it symbolic, a trophy. Others say it's practical, erasing evidence. Either way, that single act drags this story out of coincidence and into something sinister. And yo, reactions are blowing up on Twitch. Even big names like Ludwig and XQC couldn't ignore the links. Ludwig flat out asked if Jason Lewin had seen the claims. Jason tried defending David at first, but then came the cold receipts. Matching tattoos, obsessive lyrics, photos of them together. And XQC dropped the bomb.
Detective XQC shocked after realizing that D4vd released Romantic Homicide on the same day as Celeste's 12th birthday, with XQC stating, "There's too many coincidences that line up to the point he believes the rumor."
Too many coincidences, too much smoke for there not to be fire. Now hold up. Why does this matter? Why should you care beyond messy headlines and social media noise? Because this isn't just about one artist, one scandal, or one crime. It's about the system that lets young fans get pulled into dangerous ties with powerful figures. It's about that dark place where art and reality collide, where violent lyrics stop being metaphor and start sounding like confession. And it's about accountability in an industry that often looks the other way until it's too late. For Celeste's family, this isn't drama, it's heartbreak. For fans who once crowned David as the voice of their generation, it's betrayal. And for the music world, it's a wake-up call. How close can songs mirror life before they stop being art and start exposing truth? Look at his breakout track Romantic Homicide. On the surface, it's a heartbreak anthem, a moody lo-fi ballad about betrayal and pain. But scratch deeper. Uploaded on September 7, 2022, the exact day Celeste turned 12. Coincidence? Or calculated? When you line that up with the body in his Tesla, the matching tattoos, and even her mother confirming a relationship, the dots almost connect themselves. And here's the darkest layer, the erased streams. Clips exist showing David and Celeste on live streams, nervously asking moderators to delete evidence.
Mods, can we delete all VODs? And then as soon as the stream ends, delete the stream too?
What this clip tells me here, as well as all the other pictures that I've seen, is that Celeste had a place to stay, right? Somebody was harboring her. David was around, clearly. There were people that were harboring her as a runaway.
Think about that. A missing 13-year-old, later confirmed dead, begging to erase her online footprint while sitting right beside David. Investigators don't see that as random. They see intention, a deliberate effort to keep her hidden. And if David knew she was a runaway, as the commentary suggests, then he wasn't just hanging with a fan. He was sheltering a child whose family was searching for her. That's not only disturbing, it's incriminating. The fallout hit fast. On September 17, 2025, the night he was set to headline a sold-out Seattle show, David cancelled last minute. Fans were confused, until the truth started surfacing. Then the cancellations snowballed. San Francisco, Los Angeles, even European dates were axed. Ticketmaster promised refunds, but no refund could repay the betrayal. And it didn't stop there. The Grammy Museum, a stage that would have crowned him a rising icon, quietly cut him from its lineup. Interscope Records froze his rollout. His label shelved promotion overnight. Even the deluxe edition of his debut album Withered was pulled indefinitely. And brands, Crocs, Hollister, others, wiped him from campaigns in hours. David wasn't just losing shows. He was watching his future collapse. But here's the emotional gut punch. Celeste's family, already crushed by her disappearance, now had to accept the brutal reality of her death. Her mother admitted she'd long feared her daughter's boyfriend named David was involved. When news of the Tesla broke, she instantly suspected it was Celeste inside. Imagine that, a mother watching the world debate whether her daughter's life was just coincidences in an artist's lyrics. A mother holding a funeral instead of a birthday. While hashtags like #JusticeForCeleste trended across the globe. This isn't spectacle. It's tragedy. Still, the internet spun its wheels, turning grief into theories.
The guy she's standing next to is also David's brother, which raises even more questions. Now, the timing here is very important because the concert was about 12 days before David's abandoned Tesla was towed from the Hollywood Hills area near his house.
If that really was her, the timeline falls apart, because experts say her body had to have been dead longer than 12 days. Unless, of course, the brutal California heat sped up decomposition. Some argue that's possible. Others claim the sighting was debunked. TMZ even updated their report saying it wasn't Celeste. But that only deepens the mystery. If it wasn't her, then why was David surrounding himself with a girl who looked exactly like her? And why was he pointing up, flashing a half-heart toward the balcony? Fans say it's either obsession or ritual. Either way, it's twisted. Meanwhile, police weren't idle. On September 18, 2025, Lapp stormed a Hollywood Hills home leased under David's manager. Detectives combed through the property for more than 12 hours, spraying luminol to detect blood and hauling away electronics that could hold damning evidence. David, stuck with a $2,000 a month lease, broke it immediately after the raid and disappeared from the house. So, what exactly were investigators chasing? Insiders say detectives suspected Celeste may have been living there during her missing months, a runaway given shelter, maybe even cohabiting with David before her final days. And if true, this wasn't mere negligence. It was harboring, maybe even hiding, a child. But zoom out. This isn't just about David. It's about the system. About how an industry built on youth, idolization, and obsession creates the perfect storm for abuse. An artist barely out of his teens. A girl barely into hers. And a culture that turns dark lyrics into prophecy. Celeste wasn't just a victim of one man. She was a casualty of a machine that glorifies toxic love, destructive passion, and blurred lines. And the wig. That piece of evidence is more than strands of hair. It's a symbol of how art and reality got tangled until a young life was lost. The bloody shirt, the broken silence, and the wig that shattered his career. Let's lock in on the detail that shifted this story from bizarre to terrifying: the wig. When that backstage clip surfaced, showing David clutching what looked like Celeste's wig, it wasn't gossip fuel anymore. It became the first tangible clue linking his hands to her image even after her death. Investigators already suspected she'd been with him in her last days. But the wig signaled possession, not just proximity. And in criminal cases, possession can mean control. From the beginning, the timeline around Celeste's disappearance was suspect. She vanished in April 2024, and her mother later confirmed she had a boyfriend named David. Back then, no one put the puzzle together. But when her body surfaced in September 2025 inside David's impounded Tesla, the world realized she'd been missing for nearly 17 months. The Tesla itself told its own story. Reports say it sat abandoned near David's Hollywood Hills address for 5 days before police towed it. A ticket was issued, neighbors complained of the smell, and when impound workers opened the trunk, they found Celeste's body wrapped in plastic, decomposed beyond recognition. That level of decay mattered. It suggested she'd been dead for weeks, maybe longer. Which is why the wig clip matters. It could explain why rumors of her being alive in late August spread while her body was already breaking down. Then came the raid. On September 18, 2025, LAPD executed a warrant on a Hollywood Hills property tied to David's camp. TMZ reported detectives were hunting for blood traces, clothing, and personal belongings that might prove Celeste had been there during her disappearance. They left with bags of seized evidence, textiles, electronics, and more. Electronics were hauled out. Neighbors told reporters the search stretched over 12 hours, with luminol sprayed across walls and floors. What investigators wanted to know wasn't just was she here, but how long was she here and who else knew. Buried in the reports was one chilling detail. A blood-stained shirt was seized and logged as evidence. Police never revealed whose blood it was, but paired with the wig footage, the picture sharpened. The wig signaled possession. The shirt hinted at violence. Meanwhile, David's silence was deafening, but the internet refused to stay quiet. Twitch streams turned into mock trials. Ludwig brought on Jason Lane, one of David's closest collaborators, and pressed him about the allegations. Jason tried brushing them off as baseless rumors, but Ludwig didn't let up. He rolled out tattoo comparisons. He laid out the disappearance timeline. And when the wig clip came on screen, Jason froze. Fans clipped the moment and spread it everywhere. The key wasn't what Jason said, it was what he couldn't say. His hesitation looked like guilt by association. And then came the merch takedown. Tour dates had already been collapsing one by one, with AXS blasting cancellation emails for San Francisco and Los Angeles. But this went beyond ticket refunds. Fans suddenly noticed David's official merch store had gone dark. Hoodies, vinyl, posters, gone. Insiders later confirmed vendors were ordered to pull everything immediately. The wig clip was the breaking point. You can't sell merch for a man accused of stealing his dead girlfriend's wig during a murder probe without looking complicit. For brands, this wasn't morality, it was self-preservation. Crocs, Hollister, and other partners erased him overnight, desperate to dodge the firestorm. While corporations scrambled, Celeste's family mourned. Her mother told reporters she always suspected her daughter's boyfriend David was dangerous but never imagined this ending. In Lake Elsinore, neighbors gathered at vigils, holding candles beneath posters that once pleaded for her safe return. A GoFundMe covered funeral expenses. The service held October 4, 2025. To them, the wig wasn't evidence. It was cruelty, proof that even in death, Celeste's image was twisted and treated like property. And here's where it gets darker. Multiple outlets revealed Celeste had fake IDs, leading some of David's circle to believe she was older. The Times of India reported his friends thought she was 19, only to be stunned when police confirmed she was just 14 when they began dating. If wigs and fake IDs were part of that deception, David wasn't simply obsessed. He was actively constructing an identity for her, one that erased her real age, her real self, her real life. The wig became part of that disguise. And when she died, he clung to it like he was holding onto the version of her he invented. That's why the wig cut so deep. It isn't just fabric. It's a symbol of control, obsession, and erasure. To investigators, it physically links him to her. To fans, it turns dark lyrics into confession. To her family, it's one more theft of their daughter's dignity. The real question isn't did David take the wig? The footage already shows that. The question is why? Was it a trophy, a cover-up, or the last piece of a fantasy he'd been building since Celeste was alive? Either way, David began to feel the fallout. The first domino was his tour. Fans holding tickets for San Francisco and Los Angeles shows got AXS emails announcing cancellations due to unforeseen circumstances. One fan read the cancellation notice aloud on YouTube, their voice cracking as it hit them. The man they had defended online wasn't just skipping a gig, he was disappearing from the stage entirely. That same weekend, his US dates were wiped from Ticketmaster's listings. Europe and Asia stops lingered a few days, then vanished quietly. The final blow came when the Grammy Museum, where he was booked for an intimate showcase, scrubbed his name from their calendar. A slot meant to cement him as a serious artist was gone overnight. Then came the blackout. Interscope, the label that had bankrolled his debut withered, froze all promotion. The deluxe edition, which insiders said was already in production, was shelved without a word. Billboard confirmed it had been erased from release schedules, and radio DJs who once had him on repeat began swapping him mid-program. Spotify data showed something stranger. Streams of Romantic Homicide and Here With Me spiked out of morbid curiosity, but his artist page hemorrhaged more than 500,000 monthly listeners in under a week. Fans weren't just tuning out, they were mass unfollowing to send a message. Inside the fandom, everything began to collapse. On Reddit, his biggest fan community locked itself. Mods pinned a post banning conspiracy chatter, but within 48 hours the sub was drowning in screenshots linking him to Celeste. Forced to choose, they shut the forum down. Stan accounts on Twitter and Instagram, once dedicated to edits of his videos, rebranded or deleted overnight. The breaking point came when Fortnite streamer Clicks, one of his highest profile collaborators, unfollowed him live on stream. That single click sent shockwaves. If even his gaming inner circle was cutting ties, defenders had nothing left to stand on. Meanwhile, Twitch debates kept throwing fuel on the fire. Ludwig's interview with Jason Lane became one of the saga's most dissected moments. Jason, who had produced tracks with David early on, tried downplaying the accusations as blown out of proportion. But Ludwig pushed. "Have you seen the tattoo pictures? Have you seen the wig clip?" Jason dodged, stumbled, then froze. That silence screamed louder than denial. Chat exploded. Clips of his hesitation went viral, memes freezing his face with captions like, "When you realize your boy might actually be guilty." Jason later backpedaled on his own stream, saying he was shocked, not complicit. But by then, the damage was irreversible. The fandom had flipped, and suspicion spread to David's collaborators too. As the internet dragged him, investigators kept tightening the case. Sources told the Los Angeles Times they believed Celeste had been living in the Hollywood Hills rental in the months before her death. Evidence from the raid backed it up. Footage of her in streams, images inside bedrooms that matched the house. That shifted the story. Celeste wasn't just found in his car. She may have been harbored by him for months. And if she was living there while missing, then everyone who entered that house had to have seen her. Which raises the darker question: how many people knew? The industry's silence became deafening. When TMZ broke news of the raid, they noted David's $20,000 a month lease was terminated within days. The New York Post confirmed he vacated the property immediately, abandoning it like it was radioactive. Yet the XX who'd profited from his rise stayed quiet. Interscope issued no statement. Streaming platforms ignored questions about why his numbers spiked after the scandal. Brands like Crocs and Hollister scrubbed him from their sites but never explained why they hadn't cut ties sooner. Together, it painted a disturbing picture. The very corporations that once amplified him now ducked accountability, hiding from the role they played in enabling his platform. The cover-up, the family's grief, and a culture of silence. This is where the narrative shifts from one artist's collapse to a full-blown reckoning. Because what began with a wig in David's hand spiraled into questions about the entire industry. Who knew? Who ignored? And how many Celestes never made headlines? Now comes the law. While Lapt has yet to file official charges, the case is advancing. Authorities confirmed Celeste's remains were identified on September 17th, and within a day detectives raided his Hollywood Hills rental, hauling away evidence. Forensic tests on the wig and bloody shirt are underway, but investigators already believe they have enough to pursue charges: unlawful sexual activity with a minor, harboring a runaway, and possibly homicide. Legal analysts told outlets that even without a murder count, the harboring evidence and disappearance timeline could lock David into serious prison time. ABC 7 reported detectives are probing whether Celeste was kept in his residence in her last days. If proven, that elevates it from coincidence to kidnapping. Meanwhile, the music machine scrambled to bury its tracks. Interscope went dark. No statement. No condemnation. Just a quiet erasure of his name from websites and catalogs. Billboard confirmed the Withered Deluxe release was cancelled, but offered no explanation. Spotify hasn't addressed why his streams surged after news of Celeste's death. The Grammy Museum never explained pulling his showcase, they just deleted him like he never existed. But silence isn't neutral. It's complicity. These companies didn't just promote David, they engineered him. They pushed Romantic Homicide into TikTok virality. They monetised his brooding image. They sold fans the myth of a tortured genius. And while they profited, a girl was missing. The fallout forced fans to face an uncomfortable truth: parasocial loyalty. For years, listeners excused his grim lyrics as art. They even romanticized the eerie coincidence of him releasing Romantic Homicide on Celeste's birthday, blind to its meaning. They called his fixation on death relatable. But once the wig clip surfaced, fans realized they might have been cheering on a confession. Online communities imploded. Subreddits locked down. Stan pages vanished overnight. The parasocial wall cracked, exposing the silence they had helped sustain. And then came the streets. Protests erupted in Lake Elsinore, with hundreds outside City Hall demanding answers. They lit candles, carried signs that read "Justice for Celeste," and shouted her name into the night. A GoFundMe passed $24,000, covering her October 4th funeral. But the family insisted money wasn't the point. What they needed was accountability. At vigils, parents spoke about the dangers of online grooming. Teachers at Celeste's school called out systemic failures that let her fall through the cracks. Classmates uploaded TikToks, crying into their phones, asking how the girl who once sat beside them in class ended up as a headline. Yet the most damning questions weren't for David alone. They were for the people surrounding him. Who saw Celeste in that Hollywood Hills house? The LA Times reported evidence she stayed there in her final days. That implies managers, collaborators, even label representatives walked through and noticed her presence. Did anyone ask for ID? Did anyone wonder why a teenager was in a $20,000 a month rental tied to a charting artist? Or did they look away because the shows were selling, the streams exploding, the profits too sweet to interrupt? That's why many call this the industry's wake-up call. Because David isn't the first. From R. Kelly to Ian Watkins to names buried in lawsuits, predators thrived under teams, labels, and fans who ignored whispers until tragedy forced the truth. The parallels are too sharp to dismiss. The wig is what etched this case into memory. One haunting image of an artist clutching his dead girlfriend's disguise. But the bigger story is the pattern behind it. A culture where fame shields predators, where corporations wait until the profit dries up to react, and where victims are remembered only after they're gone. The cultural shockwave was massive. On TikTok, edits of Celeste filled feeds. Her name trended on Twitter for weeks. Teens who once idolized David now made videos warning each other about grooming red flags. Parents turned her story into a cautionary tale in schools. Celeste became more than a victim. She became a symbol of how blurred lines between artist and fan can turn deadly. Meanwhile, creators like Ludwig and XQC transformed into unintentional investigators. Their live reactions became the court of public opinion. Twitch wasn't just streaming anymore. It was the public stage where David's case was picked apart in real time with millions watching.